I was sent to Provo Canyon School when I was 16, December 11th, 2011, to October 14th, 2013. I spent 2 years there, and I left a week before my 18th birthday. It was complete lockdown. The day I walked in those doors was the last day of my youth as I knew it. I got out of Provo Canyon School 13 years ago, and it's had a big impact on my life to this very day. I don't think it's ever gonna go away. It's touched me, it's affected my life. It's a part of my life story now. I was just a group home girl running away, not following the rules, not going to school, staying out for nights on end, coming back and using my group home as like pretty much a hotel, showering, eating, leaving. And they sent me from Nova Scotia, Canada, all the way to Utah, and I stayed there for 2 years. Every day was structured. Every day. Down to the minute. Every single day there for 2 years was completely structured. There was a lot of rules there. A ton. I did good for 5 whole months. I followed every rule, everything. I did great. Until the day that I got to have a phone call with my mother. A longer one. Because as you advance, you get privileges, and that was the one I had. So in my therapy session, we sat down and called my mom. I had an hour. And I started a conversation. My mother in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, Canada. She didn't even want to talk to me. I knew it right away. But she answered the phone and she said, "Shanice, you need to stop calling me. I don't even really know you. Like, I don't want a relationship with you." And when I hung up from that phone call, I literally gave up completely on that school. I gave up on all the rules. I stopped following every rule. I gave up, and when I say I gave up, I started making run plans, attempting to run away. I was literally obsessed with making run plans. I was obsessing over it day in and day out of getting the fuck out of there. I was getting girls involved. I was getting the new girls involved. I was fucking on the highest status, and I went to mentor the girls on another unit, and I was making run plans with them. And that's what ultimately got me out of my status, as they told. So I gave up. Like, I gave up good. I never seen the light of day for fucking 3 months straight. Or the heat from the sun for 3 months straight. For a punishment because of me attempting to run away. That's what they did to me. When we were doing good and we get, like, certain privileges or free time or something, and we had, like, good privileges, we were able to use a razor. And it wasn't a razor that, like a normal razor, it was an electric razor that had no blades at all. It was just this fucking electric thing you had to charge. And it didn't even barely work. Like 20,000 times you had to shave over one spot for it to actually take all the hair off. And I seen a girl actually get in shit and lose all her privileges, lose her bed, and go to fucking investment because she shaved her fucking pubic hair. Literally. Lost her bed. I went to the same school as Paris Hilton did. I would know some of the staff that she would remember, and she knew. Yep, she would remember Lorna. We don't forget Lorna. Nobody forgets Lorna. She would remember Laura. She would remember Sue Brady. We don't forget Brianne. There was about 3 occasions I attempted to run away fully. I got out of there twice. But each time I would attempt to run away, they would literally put Haldol in my ass. They would inject me with a needle. They call it booty juice. They would literally sedate me. I'd have to sit in obs as I'm fucking passing out. And my mother told me she didn't want to ever talk to me again. That hurt. So I gave up on all the rules there, on everything. When I gave up on the whole program there, I was on a unit and they called it the bad unit. It was investment. And then they named it Investment slash Reflections. And then it was a unit, you would sit there, it was when you would lose your bed. And I got there for 5 months straight. I sat there, staring at a desk, day in and day out, daydreaming, dreaming of the perfect life, fantasizing about the perfect life, fantasizing about getting out of there. It was all in my head. I lived in my head for 5 months straight on that unit, sitting at a wall. It wasn't in my head, I was in the dictionary, looking at words, anything to get out of there, get out of my situation, out of my reality. I escaped no matter what way, like in whatever way I could. When I attempted to run away, Steve Ward, the staff, made it so I didn't actually have any privileges to go outside for 3 months straight. I sat in a cold air-conditioned unit for 3 months straight. Never got to go outside once. In OBS once, for trying to run away, Ezra, the staff, showed me a meal, and it was a meal I really, really liked. It was my favorite meal. I think it was chicken fried steak, potatoes, I think corn. And he showed it to me and he ate it in front of me, and I didn't get to eat that night. I didn't go by my name when I was in there. My number was 363. That's what my number was. That's how they identified me. 363. For 2 years. They promised me I would be in there for a year. So I knew going in I'd be there for a year at least. They told me to be as selfish as possible while I was there, focus on me, take all the time I need. And the second I found out I was staying longer than a year, I gave up. The medication they had me on, I was not myself at all. It made me completely drowsy. I could barely even look at bright lights. It made my eyes so sensitive. I was on multiple. I seen a lot of things there. There was a lot of girls with issues. Some were very suicidal. I had to witness that on and off throughout my whole stay there. I seen some shit. The staff were not very nice there. They were very, very, very strict. There were so many different people there. In and out, all the time. But there was main staff that used to come in like Monday to Friday, the same exact people. And they knew us very, very well, and they did not treat us very good. They were so used to yelling at the girls, being mean, belittling them, snapping at them, making them feel like crap. And we had no choice but to accept it. We put up with whatever came our way, just to get through the day there. And God forbid if you want to sleep in. There ain't no chance of ever sleeping in there. If you want to sleep in, you're going right to OBS. They called dial 9 on any girl. And all the staff from every unit comes rushing down to wherever the situation's happening. They run right down and they tackle the person and they literally take them and into OBS. They bring a nurse in and they literally sedate them. They give them Haldol. They give them a needle in their ass. And then fucking 25 minutes, 30 minutes later, they're passed out. The staff does not introduce themselves to you other than your therapist. You meet the staff as the days go on. They don't say, hello, how are you, my name's... No, none of that. Just a number there, you're to do what you were told, and that's that. They say tough love helps teenagers that don't get, love from their family or support and have issues, like anxiety, depression. That did not help me none. It messed me up even more. Where is the love in that school? There was no love. Tough love. So I didn't know it at the time, but I actually self-sabotaged there. I was the highest status. You could not get higher of a status than I had there. I was doing so good. All the staff trusted me. I was completely doing amazing. And I had so many privileges. I had the most of the privileges there. So I was the highest status. And I self-sabotaged and ruined everything. I gave up. There wasn't a single girl out of the 64 girls there, my whole entire stay at one time, that was ever not on medication of some sort. They had us on multiple medications. Daily we were taking them. We had to do mouth checks to make sure we weren't abusing them. They were dosing us up on so many drugs. I had a list. I was fucking tired as fuck at like 9 o'clock at night after taking them at 8:45 at night. And I had to wait until like an hour to go to bed. And I wanted to just go to bed. My body couldn't function. It was shutting down on me. I was fucking numb. I just wanted to go to bed. And I was never allowed to, and this went on for months on end. We were hurting teenagers. We were in pain. Our family life was not great. Life went to shit, obviously. And school was the last thing on our mind, and they forced us into it. I used to ask to go to OBS to sing, because it sounded really pretty. My mom had given up me and my siblings to permanent care and custody of the government in Nova Scotia. And it was her for me to accept the fact that she didn't want to be in my life anymore. I used to ask to go to OBS to sing, because it sounded really pretty. It was the longest 2 years of my entire life. It literally felt like 10. It was so long. It was never ending. Day after day after day, week after week after week, month after month after month. I was in that school, locked up, in a fucking structure. It was not helping me none. I never benefited from it none. I was a hurting woman. I was running from my group home, not going to school, because I was not happy I was in a group home, because I was not happy I was away from my mom. It all stemmed from that. I didn't need to be in a school like that. There was a lot of girls that needed extreme help. I was an anxious person, yeah. But I didn't need that. It was my first plane ride ever when I went there. I left from Halifax, Nova Scotia, all the way to Chicago, then to fucking Salt Lake City. And my worker, I had my group home staff with me and my social worker with me on the plane, and they told me to give it a try, and that if I didn't like it, I could change my mind, and they were going to visit me the next day, and they were going to talk to me, and if I wanted to come home, I could. Halfway there, when I got to Chicago, I had a full-blown panic attack, and I almost fucking refused completely, but they somehow convinced me to keep going. So I got on the plane again and kept going, and then when I got to Salt Lake City, this girl named Katie that was from Provo Canyon School, she was such a bitch. She was waiting for me at the airport, and I asked her if it was a lockdown, because I didn't know if it was a lockdown or a group home or what. They weren't really clear with me on that. And she said, I don't know. You're going to have to ask the people there. I really don't know. She lied to me. And I got there and I tried it out. It was fucking horrible. It was horrible. I wanted no part of it. It was not for me. That was not for me. That place was not for me. And when my worker and social worker came back to visit me the next morning, I went and told them I didn't want to be there. I hated it. I want to go now. They told me I wasn't leaving, that I had to be there for a year. I was devastated. Devastated. I couldn't leave. I wasn't allowed to walk back out. It broke me. When I first walked in that school and I had to get strip searched, which was humiliating, I had to bend down and cough in front of 2 female staff, then they threw me a shirt to put on. It was said Provo Canyon School on it. And then they walked me to a unit, and I'll never forget how terrified I was. That's the most scared I've ever been in my life. I was walking into that unit with all those girls, not a single person smiling, everybody's eyes on me. I was the only one in the room they're staring at. And the staff threw me in there, all alone, and then they left. So I'm there, just plopped in the fucking group with a whole bunch of girls. I had no idea who they were. Not a single person talked to me that night until a girl named Stephanie came up to me in the gym and made a joke or something. I watched girls in there do extreme things to their body. Extreme. I watched a girl named Patrice pull out every single toenail off her foot in OBS. I watched Alexis Ayala take her fucking ligament out of one of her arms, I can't remember which one, fucking ripped it right out of there in OBS. It's an observation room where they lock you in there. They literally did that shit, and I had to witness that and the screaming and yelling from some of the girls and some of the shit, and I haven't even mentioned half of it. But those were the two things that stuck out for me the most when I witnessed girls and they're doing shit like that. In OBS. It was bad. Patrice took all of her fucking toenails off. Some girls get really suicidal and they just don't give a shit. She came in the same exact day as me when I walked into Provo Canyon School. And it was about 5 months before I left, and she was in observation room doing that to herself. And she literally ripped out her ligaments in her wrists. She was literally cutting herself. She was self-harming way before that, but when they threw her in there to protect herself, she carried something in there somehow, and then started fucking doing stuff to her arms. I got literal, cold, curious stares from everybody that night. My anxiety was through the roof, and the whole entire the whole 2 years that I was there, it was horrible. I'll never forget the fear I felt that night, walking in on that unit, and those girls were there. It was the longest 2 years of my entire life. It literally felt like 10. It was so long. It was never ending. Day after day after day, week after week after week, month after month after month, I was in that school, locked up, in a fucking structure. It was not helping me none. I never benefited from it none. I was a hurting woman. I was running from my group home, not going to school, because I was not happy I was in a group home, because I was not happy I was away from my mom. It all stemmed from that. I didn't need to be in a school like that. There was a lot of girls that needed extreme help. I was an anxious person, yeah, but I didn't need that. It was my first plane ride ever when I went there. I left from Halifax, Nova Scotia, all the way to Chicago, then to fucking Salt Lake City. And my worker, I had my group home staff with me and my social worker with me on the plane, and they told me to give it a try. And that if I didn't like it, I could change my mind. And they were going to visit me the next day, and they were going to talk to me, and if I wanted to come home, I could. Halfway there, when I got to Chicago, I had a full-blown panic attack, and I almost fucking refused completely. But they somehow convinced me to keep going. So I got on the plane again and kept going. And then when I got to Salt Lake City, this girl named Katie that was from Provo Canyon School, she was such a bitch. She was waiting for me at the airport, and I asked her if it was a lockdown, because I didn't know if it was a lockdown or a group home or what. They weren't really clear with me on that. And she said, I don't know. You're going to have to ask the people there. I really don't know. She lied to me. And I got there and I tried it out. It was fucking horrible. It was horrible. I wanted no part of it. It was not for me. That was not for me. That place was not for me. And when my worker and social worker came back to visit me the next morning, I went and told them I didn't want to be there. I hated it. I want to go now. They told me I wasn't leaving, that I had to be there for a year. I was devastated. Devastated. I couldn't leave. I wasn't allowed to walk back out. It broke me. I think the staff would laugh at me when they think of me at times. Especially when me and Jessica had tried to run. We were already in a school area and we snuck out into the hallway where there's a gym, kitchen, the other unit, the whole other part of the dorm area, and then an office of the actual main entrance, and we escaped to the main entrance. And we were on our way almost to the door. We were running as fast as we could, and we full fucking tilt smashed into the door, because they had locked it just before we had got to the door. So there they were locking the door, and we smashed right into it, and it's all on camera. And there was a staff named Zach, and he used to make fun of me all the time because of that. When any of the staff think of me or talk about me, they would think of somebody that gave them a very, very hard time at times, and then did really good. And then gave them a lot of fucking work to do. I put up some work for them. They worked for the money there. Zach asked me one time, I was such a high status at times, and I had so much freedom with them, That if I was gonna run at all, why didn't I run then? Good question. Me and Raylene got out. We actually, there was a new staff. His name was Walter. He was like with all the girls in the circle where we could walk outside into this circle thing and keep going in circles if we want. And he was over there chatting with some of the younger girls distracted. He left this little key thing where they scan it to get in and out. He left it right like in front of him. He wasn't even touching it or even looking at it. Me and Raylene ran up. We grabbed it. We ran through this out there to the school area, through the whole entire school area, out of the school area, out to the off like by where the offices were and the kitchens and all that. And we ran down this one hallway and we escaped through one door. We literally were booking it out of there. We got out. So we were running through this field. It took like 10 minutes across. And we looked behind us. We were already out of breath. And there was like 20 staff running after us. They grabbed us. I couldn't do it no more. I couldn't run anymore. I was trying. I had to give up because they tackled me anyway. Got to OBS. Like they brought me back. Got me into OBS. Put a needle in my butt. So it was a cold winter night. December 2012, I think it was. Yeah. And there was night staff, and it was a Sunday night staff, so there wasn't very many. And us girls had plotted to run away. There was actually different, like 4 girls to a room, but some girls in my room was planning to run away, and some girls in other rooms were planning to run away. So we were all waiting for late in the night shift. And 6 of us girls, we ended up grabbing this staff member's keys, locked ourselves in our own room. He couldn't get in and out, so he ran off the unit. There was nothing he could do. He had no keys or anything. And he ran into the other unit right across, and it was in the middle of the night. It was like 5 a.m. And 6 of us girls we tried to, like, open up the back door, and it wouldn't work, so we just smashed the fire alarm. So we had to break the plastic off and smash to the fire alarm. Brittany Walker got it unlocked for us. Somehow, it unlocked. We were in shower shoes, shorts, and t-shirt in the middle of winter at 5 a.m. in the morning, snow all over the ground. It was freezing cold, and we all ran out. All 6 of us. We were together for like 20 minutes till we decided to split up. We could hear the cop, like the sirens and everything going off. So we each, 2 of us each was, like, we split up. And I went with Brittany, who was a crazy bitch. We hid into this little alleyway in this building area. It was like a industrial park kind of thing, and we hid in this corner, and we sat there for like 5 minutes till we heard this fucking noise. It sounded like a car door, and we literally seen a shadow. We were sitting there by this must have been like a filter thing, like a air conditioning thing or something, and we could literally see this person's shadow, not even like 5 feet away from us. They were just standing there. We could see the movement of them. Brittany's like this at me. I was scared to death. I didn't know if it was a cop. I didn't know who it was, and to this day I don't know who it was. But there was a shadow, and he was literally like 5 feet away from us. If 5 feet. All he had to do was come around the corner, there we were. He had no idea we were right there. And then the shadow just walked away. But we ended up getting caught. Cops, me and Brittany were walking through this field. We were almost ready to hit the highway. I was already getting cold, too. I had shower shoes on with socks and shorts and a t-shirt. Running through this old cornfield in the middle of winter, and the cops seen us, stopped us, gave Brittany handcuffs, and didn't give me handcuffs because he didn't have any more. He gave me zip ties. So we're sitting in the back of the vehicle going back to the fucking school, all defeated, and Brittany goes, "Watch this." And she took her fucking cuffs, and the way that the Utah cop car was, don't ask me, it was open. She said, she took her fucking cuff, she got it out, like she dislocated her wrist, got her hand out of the cuff, and had an extra hand, like that hand had that cuff just flying on it. She biffed that in the cop's face. She literally attacked that cop right in front of me. And the cop come out and beat on Brittany. My friend Brittany, he beat on Brittany. He literally grabbed Brittany, threw her out of the car. Her head was right by the ground in the car door. He was beating on Brittany in front of me. He took her to jail, and she went to jail for 6 months. I got back to the school. He literally fucking beat on her, but she had no right to do that. I didn't know she was gonna do that. I didn't know she was that kind of crazy. She did. She fucking attacked him. So he attacked her. My therapist at one point told me that I was living in my head and not living in the moment and not actually doing my program there, that I was more focused on the outside world. They took my ability to use my journal away. That was my safe spot, my security there. I was actually happy diving into my journal and doing what I wanted and writing what I wanted. She was reading it all, and she's pretty much said I was just living for the future. I wasn't even focusing on the now, and it was true. I wasn't. I wanted to get the hell out of there. Who the fuck wants to stay there? She took my journal away and my ability to journal and get my thoughts out, another way of expressing myself, my anger, anything. I took it away from me, so I had no journal. Being in that school was when I first experienced true, hopeless depression. I remember feeling so alone there, so hopeless, so angry, always sad. I was faking it till I made it. I was doing my best just to get out of there. The only way to survive it was literally just to be in my head. I would daydream up things, daydream up stories, love interest, going to Miami, literally going to Vegas, that it would change from different part of the world to another, to certain friends who were in there. I would ask them all the time about their hometown and their home country, what it was like, then I would want to go there. It would change all the time. I once wanted to go to New York City because of Gossip Girl books. I dove into them. I was just escaping any way I could. The human brain has an amazing way of protecting you from things you really don't want to experience. When I tell you I was daydreaming and living in my head, I was living in my head. My brain worked overtime. It's probably why I'm so exhausted to this day. The way that I functioned when I was there. I made some really good friends when I was there. I have a couple I still talk to this day. Some of them were really annoying. Some of them were hard to live with, of course. It's any situation. Some of them I remember being so annoying. The top most annoying person. It was so annoying living with people. Different people. Everyone had their own problems, troubles, didn't want to be there. It was a really fucking awful mood a lot of the times.